Welcome to Takeaways, Life Lessons Learned. My guest today is Amalie Zinsser. Did I say it right?
You said it perfectly.
Where does Zinsser come from?
Married a man named Andy. German, which is funny because my first name is also German, but I'm Cuban, 100%. So I really throw people for a loop with that one.
German, but Cuban.
Yep.
All right. So you are the Regional Vice President at Kiln, K-I-L-N.
That's right.
Kiln is a premier co-working company. You yourself have a decade of experience in community building, professional enrichment, and relationship-driven leadership. All right. Those are three words you don't usually see in a bio or phrases.
Mm-hmm.
Community building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what does that mean?
I always say community is different for each person. So when you say the word community, something pops up in their brain. It's exactly that. It's what everyone thinks community is we're building off of individual self, where we all have that sense of belonging and come together is how I look at community.
Professional enrichment.
Yes. So another big thing of mine, my North Star in my professional and personal life is really enriching other people's lives, and also those that report into me or even are part of my teams or work alongside me, just to do our best work. Yeah.
Relationship-driven leadership.
Yeah. Again, kind of like echoing what I just said too. It's, we're all human. We're all here. Let's come from that place of human-centric center and do our best work together. And it will actually bring results. I always say, if our people aren't happy, our business suffers. So.
I'm going to write that down for a second. People aren't happy, business suffers.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing on with the bio. Previously, Zinsser was Director of Community. Do you identify like as Zinsser?
Yeah.
Yeah? People call you that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Director of Community and Belonging for Uncommons. Uncommons is the new mixed-use development at Durango and 215. So you were the Director of Community and Belonging in this role. You tell me, what'd you do in this role?
Everything and all the things. I was
janitor,
anything
everything
that Uncommons needed. I was there when it was just dirt, and then left when we had a bunch of tenants, office and food and bev and retail. Helped a lot with the programming for the site, bringing, people together, building that community, connecting with people outside of our sandbox is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that we had really great events on site. A lot of community builders here in Las Vegas, they've been doing the amazing work, and I was just there to be a platform for them and bring them to Uncommons. All the way to a tenant is not happy, they're going to hit me up. And then I would work with the GM there to figure out like what's happening with parking or, all those little logistics or certain things that kind of hit a site for a tenant. So I was there to help throughout that and helped on social media and marketing with the marketing director that's there. So truly everything, whatever they needed, I was there to support.
You're like, in a way, the face and the spokesperson for the project.
Yeah.
The person behind the font and the text of Uncommons.
Truly. I was, as I always said, even on some of panels or newscasts, I'm like, if you're hitting up Uncommon social, it's literally me behind the keyboard. So you'll feel that personality through and through. So I was there to just really band together the community to understand what is this new development and why is it so special to the Vegas Valley.
So I got an image just now of like a customer sitting in the quad at Uncommons on their social media, and then you across the quad, not knowing, are answering them back.
Truly.
All right. Before that, you were instrumental in bringing WeWork into the Las Vegas market. WeWork, everyone knows that name and brand. Famous co-working, maybe infamous co-working.
All infamous
facility.
And infamous, yes.
So they have 3 locations here, 2
they
locations here?
2.
Did they have 3 at some point?
They were aiming for a 3rd. Yeah, but then 2019 happened.
Took care of all that for everybody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
so they're downtown Summerlin and they're at Town Square.
Yes.
So you brought them here. What does that mean, brought them here?
Yeah, I remember being in a room with the GM at the time.
Good story start. I was in a room.
And it was we were just talking about a bunch of business stuff, and we were looking at what new market should we be going into. And Vegas was one of the topics, and everyone was hesitant. They're like, Vegas? Really? And I'm like, excuse me, born and raised, Vegas, but that's a place that we need to be going into.
So you're already working at WeWork.
Was already at WeWork. I was like on year 3. Year 3. I was in LA. I was overseeing about 16, 17 locations in Los Angeles for WeWork as the director. And we were aiming for new markets. Las Vegas came up. And I pitched it. I was like, we need to be in Vegas. We need to be in Summerlin area first. And then I was like also 7 months pregnant at this time. Conversations were happening. And then I was on maternity leave, and they hit me up. It was fine. I allowed it. It was okay. They're like, hey, are you in Vegas? Because I know you've been visiting with the new baby. Can you give us a tour? I'm like, absolutely. If this is what's going to bring the deal in for Vegas, I'm in. So called it CWEOs at the time, which is basically the West GM, and
What's it called?
CWEO. So for like
everything's we, right?
Everything's a we. Everything's a we.
Okay.
Did a market tour, and I showed them around. I showed them, downtown Las Vegas, Henderson, Summerlin, Town Square, all of that, and looking for that Class A building, and landed for the first location in Summerlin and to Summerlin. So got him over, and it was, and still is, such a very successful market for WeWork. Vegas. Mm-hmm.
I've got a lot of questions to fill in some of the blanks here, but let me go through this.
Yes.
And I'm going to circle back here.
Sure.
So you are regional vice president at Kiln. Yeah. You're a community builder. You're an organ transplanter. You'll tell me more about that in a second. A co-working authority. You're a Vegas weekly 40 under 40. A marathoner, a cyclist, a Pilates enthusiast, a fashionista, foodie, avid podcast listener, a wife, and a mom. Did I miss anything?
I think that's about it. I'm also a dog mom.
Dog mom. Got to ask you about your dog, obviously. So those are all the things. I will say officially welcome to Takeaways, Amalie.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're here.
I'm stoked.
So there's so many points of entry here. We can either pick up the story. We could talk about how you and I first met and how so impressed I was by a very specific set of knowledge that you had. Mm-hmm. Let's go right to the beginning. I understand you were born and raised here in Las Vegas.
Born and raised in Nellis Air Force Base.
So who was in the Air Force?
My dad.
Dad?
Mm-hmm. Dad's in the Air Force, born and raised. We moved to Henderson. I was 5 years old. We were living in the base, moved to Iceland during that time, then landed in Henderson.
So Nellis, Iceland, Henderson.
Yes.
Not your usual patterns of migration, but...
Nope, but following the guy in the force. So that's what we were doing. And then they're still in that same home. I went to the 3Gs, Gibson, Greenspun, Green Valley, dropped out of high school and started working at good old Mustang Sally's that was connected to the Ford Country. They're still open. My daughter is obsessed. She says she wants to work there like mommy.
I was going to ask, and clearly you walk in there. I used to work here. Did you know I used to work here? You're one of those.
No, my dad. My dad. Yeah. He takes her, he goes, your mommy used to work here. And then my daughter's the one that's like, my mommy used to work here. My mommy works here. Da, da, da. So she's the one, really, really the one bringing my name to fruition around these spaces. But I started working at 15. And Mustang Sally's was my first gig.
Trying to think my first job. I was 15, maybe also 13. Mm-hmm. I was very young. I was working part-time at Burger King.
Nice.
On Sunset and like Green Valley Parkway.
I know exactly where that is.
I know you know because you're born and raised in Henderson.
Yeah, it's a spot. It's special like to come like do your first job being like that type of hospitality driven space because it teaches you just humans and how humans are having bad days, good days, little mix of
how you can make someone's day with
exactly.
I'll take care of that coffee for you, sir.
Yeah, I learned so much at a young age. Not mind you, I was dealing with car salesmen, not trying to be like car salesman, but like different type of people that I was learning and I didn't understand yet as a 15-year-old. While they're trying to wheel and deal someone to buy a car, they're bringing them in for a cup of coffee, and I realized like I need to be that extra step to get this deal across the line or whatever. And then you get people that are so like big and branded into Ford, and so that they come to Mustang Sally with their family, not even there to buy a car. And they just want to have a good time, a good old diner meal, and how that means a lot to them. So it was, I think, what really catapulted me into, like, at that time, personally realizing the impact that you actually have on everyone's lives. And so that's what has, like, been my North Star and, like, my core to myself.
And you dropped out of high school.
I did. Yeah, I was a bad kid.
Bad how?
Bad kid.
You're like running in a gang. I mean, you have a bandana.
I mean, you never know. I'm heavily tattooed.
Green Valley Crips.
You never know. I hung out with a bad crew, people that like to, not go to school. And I also struggled in school. I am not that average learner that likes to sit there. Someone's talking to me. Here's your homework and go. What I've found out, over the many years now out of being out of school and the careers that I've been in, I'm a put me in coach and I'll learn as we go. And I thrive in that type of environment. And so high school, at that time, people weren't talking about alternative type of schooling. It's like either there or you drop out or you try to do homeschool, nothing more. And so I was just bad. I was always ditching, hanging out with the wrong crew. My dad had a heart attack, massive heart attack around that same time. So my mom was dealing with that, dealing with my bad self. And they're like, well, if you're not going to be able to apply yourself, you're going to apply yourself at Mustang Sally's. And, you're going to go work and learn how to work and make your own money. So responsibility. It was the best move, not the normal move, but the best move.
Sounds like your mom knew who her daughter was.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad. If you're not going
to thrive here, then thrive here.
Yeah, get to work, do what you need to do. And that has set me up for success.
Why Mustang Sally's?
We went there a lot. And the manager at the time, my dad's like, my daughter needs a job. She goes, all right, have her work here.
Great.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And, I started as a cashier and then I became a waitress and I was there for 5 years. Solid. 5 years, never left.
So you basically grew up there a little bit through, that was your college.
Yeah. And then I got my GED without, again, this is just how my brain works. Didn't study, just went and got it, passed, great, had that under my belt, and then was figuring out, like, what do I do next? And then my older brother comes into the picture on my what I do next. And that's where that random little note that you said earlier, organ transplanter, comes into play.
Yeah, so I asked, when I prepare, I'm like, give me your bio. You send me your bio, and it's Kiln, Uncommons, WeWork. And so I wrote you back, what did you do before WeWork? And then you said, oh, my other life.
Yeah, truly.
So tell me about your
other life. So, I was there from 15 to 20, 21-ish at Mustang Sally's. And then my brother's already pretty established in an industry with Nevada Donor Network as a organ transplant coordinator. So I was looking for what do I do next? And he's like, hey, why don't you start off where I started? And that was to be a tissue bank coordinator. And I was like, never seen a dead body in my life. I don't know.
Tissue what coordinator?
Tissue bank coordinator.
Tissue bank coordinator.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like,
I'll look that up on Indeed. Curious, like what it says.
I could break it down. A bit, but I never seen a dead body in my life. I don't know medical terminology. I don't know the anatomy, but sure, why not? Let's go for it. And at that time, you didn't really need a background for that. You get kind of thrown in and they told me like, hey, if you're not grasping the work, then, we're going to, like, it's not going to work out. You have like 2 months basically. And at 2 months, I got promoted to a lead. And so what a tissue bank coordinator is this individual in Nevada Donor Network or any donor network that if there is someone that is registered donor or the next of kin gave the okay to be a registered donor and they fit all the criteria to be so, you then are donating your tissue. And that's heart for heart valves, your veins, your tendons, skin, bones, and cornea.
Wow.
So I took all of that out of a lot of donors in those 5 years.
So you come to work, you have scrubs on, mask,
Yep.
gloves, the whole deal?
Everything. It's my fun party trick. They're like, no. And I like whip out my pictures. I'm like, no, like I was in this, guys. Like I had 8 days on, 6 days off was my schedule, back-to-back donors, recovering for enhancing folks. Then I got promoted to organ transplant coordinator. And then I was able to scrub in with one of the best surgeons in the world. And recover for organ transplant, liver, kidneys, lungs, heart. At that time, that's when I moved to San Francisco for a bit. And I scrubbed in with Stanford surgeons, and it was pretty amazing. So that's my past life. It's a little party trick that I have where I'm like, yeah, I did that for 5 years as well, and everyone's like, so you might not be squeamish. I'm like, I kind of don't have that heavy stomach like I used to back then.
But you did have it.
I did. Yeah. It did not faze me at all. Seeing cutting into, not to put it bluntly, like cutting into a dead body and taking pieces out for enhancing other people's lives. Like it didn't irk me. The only time that I ever felt like there was 3 times I cried in that 5 years. And it was when I had to recover these 3 brothers. I could say this because it was on the news, but these 3 brothers that passed away. And so I had to recover their heart for heart valves. Another time where I saw another guy that resembled my husband in a motorcycle accident, and we were riding motorcycles at the time. And another time where it was another child, and I had a pregnant coworker with me at the time, and it was a baby, and I had to recover the heart. And so I just told her, like, sit outside, you should not be in here. And I just recovered it on my own, but I cried more so for her. But it was a tough job. But it also taught me, like, I could learn anything and everything, and I didn't have a medical background, I'm just a high school dropout. And I was like, let's do this. Let's go get some organs and tissue.
So 5 years at Mustang Sally's,
Yes.
5 years as a organ, what's the official title?
Organ transplant coordinator.
Organ transplant coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned San Francisco. I'm curious about that before I ask you about that, though. So I also learned that you went to Green Valley, and I was asking you when you were there, and you're like, whoa, why are you asking? So I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Nate Mack for like 1 year of elementary school, and then we moved to Georgie Harris because at the time Nate Mack was on a 12-month schedule. My mom wanted us to have summers off. And then after Georgie Harris, I went to Greenspun, and then I went to Green Valley.
You got two of the G's.
Yeah, 2 of the 3 G's.
What year did you go? Dare I ask?
90. When did I graduate? 98?
Nice.
Does that sound right? Yeah.
And so you were one of the first students at Green Valley, because Green Valley was pretty new.
I think my brother was the first, like, 4 years.
Awesome.
That was his, feather in his cap. That
was the first.
The first to go 4 years at Green Valley, and that was, sounds right. Yeah, so I was 98. So I was one of the first, but not.
Yeah. It's crazy that Vegas is so tiny. Like, you're like, wait,
tiny.
We had that overlap as well. Yeah.
Not so much anymore, but it used to be very rare to say I was born and raised in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And then you're born and raised in Vegas. It's like, where'd you go to high school?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that says a lot about someone.
It does. It does.
So San Francisco.
Yeah. Met a boy who's now the husband. So it was
Did
the
you
best.
Meet him here?
Met him here. Yeah. He was raised here. He went to Palo for a bit. Not from here. He doesn't get that title. Sorry, dude. But so we had overlapping friends, and then he came to visit for a motorcycle trip with my roommate, and I was like, "Hey, you're cool. I'm cool. What's up?" So he lived in San Francisco already for 2 years, and then we were dating for 6 months, and then I got a transfer within the donor network world to do California Donor Network, and then I moved to San Francisco. I was there for a good 6 years. Phenomenal city. I love that city. Was there, and then that's where I injured my hands. I tore a couple tendons in my hand by overextending during like a hike and fell.
It wasn't when you were yanking a heart out?
No. I was very gentle during that time. Didn't have nails then either, so this has always been my thing after the fact. But I hurt my hand, and that's what got me to like pause. And it was in San Francisco. I was sitting there on one of my runs. That's where I started my run journey too, in San Francisco. And kind of was
Very
like
hilly in San Francisco.
very hilly, but I lived by Golden Gate Park, so it was like a nice like hill, and then I was like coasting. It's a beautiful running area. And I was questioning what to do with my life. And then again, just like what my brother did and my other friend, I was like, hey, why don't you work for WeWork? And I was like, what's WeWork? Like, what is that? And she's like, oh, it's like this new startup company, co-working. I was like, what's co-working? And then we just kind of started chatting, had an interview, and they started me at the front desk. So that's where I started my journey, was that's in San Francisco, and learning community and kind of just devouring it all. Because at that time, like leaving Vegas, there wasn't really like a community feel during my early 20s in Las Vegas. And I felt that more when I went to San Francisco at that time.
So now you're at this company that's got a very documented story.
Yeah.
A boom and bust and still there kind of story.
Yeah. And I also was so mad my first week when I was at WeWork, because not only was I just saving lives for 5 years, and then I have a guy come at me mad that his printer's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I here? Like, let me go back to saving lives. But I wanted more normalcy on my, just brand new marriage and all this stuff. And started at WeWork, started from the bottom. Truly, I was the front desk associate. And then within 2 months, got promoted to a community lead. And then got promoted into a community manager. And I was overseeing one of the sites in San Francisco called Civic Center. Now knowing, more educated in my co-working world, one of the worst spots to get a co-working spot. It was a really rough area.
How so?
Well, there was this alleyway called Jesse Alley, whatever, next to us. And that's where a lot of unhomed folks would go and shoot up some drugs. And every day I had to walk by, make sure if there was nobody there, call the police, call the city or whatever to clean up that alley. And so I'm trying to sell space while this is happening, making sure that,
Got it. Okay.
it's safe to come in. But we did. We got it to 100% occupancy, like charming them.
The worst to the best.
Truly did. And that's just hard work. How do people feel when they walk in? Like, the outside might be rough, but the moment you come in, like, is this where you want to be? And so really making sure that our members and potential new members felt that. And so I was a community manager for that site. And then they saw potential in me to open up another brand new site, 600 California. And then I became a senior director. So this was already like a year and a half into my WeWork career. And then had a moment with Adam Newman and the GM at the time. And they're like, okay, well, you fix issues. Like, you're he called me the fire extinguisher. He's like, you go into the roughest areas and you sell it. I need you to go lead LA. And I was like, okay, I'm down.
So Adam Newman's the founder of WeWork.
Yeah, founder of WeWork.
Also, there's a documentary about him, right?
There is.
Is it a documentary?
Oh no, the show.
Jared Leto, right?
Yeah, Jared Leto played him.
So maybe it's a film about him.
Yeah, it was a show that I think it was on Apple TV or something, but it's all true. I mean, we're in that grind, and he was one of the reasons why I then got moved to LA. LA was the second market they opened up on the West Coast, the first being San Francisco. And I oversaw 16 to 20 at the time, like back and forth, sites in LA.
16 to 20 WeWork sites?
Mm-hmm.
And each one is how many square feet?
Gosh, you could go all the way from like 15 to like 30 to like 50. It's so like
for reference, like the average office tenant in Southern Nevada is probably 5,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So
these are sizable spaces within office buildings.
Yeah, and I oversaw the LA proper. So it was like, if you did a huge circle from Santa Monica to Pasadena to downtown LA, do a huge circle, any of those sites within that is what I was was running with my
So
team.
you were fire extinguishing.
I was. It was a rough market. I mean, every pocket of LA is different. You know, you're selling to a different demographic or different type of like a member company, anything. And you also have comes like with issues, right? You know, you have your downtown Los Angeles versus your Pasadena, and, you know, operational issues, older buildings, newer buildings. And at that time, we were in like hyper growth. So I had a Culver City site that was rocking and rolling. We are at 100% occupancy. Let's open another Culver City site. Cannibalizes, right? So you're kind of playing this game against your own sites. But it was such a learning experience for me. You know, I was pregnant, had my baby during all of that, was hustling. And then I pitched Las Vegas, and that's what brought me back to Las Vegas.
When you and I first met,
Mm-hmm.
it was at a Chamber of Commerce event that Uncommons was a sponsor of.
Yeah.
And you were still at WeWork. I think their turmoil probably just started. I remember you and Jim Stewart, who developed Uncommons.
My bestie.
You came up to me, you were like, I heard we're talking to you. I think this is my recollection of it. You know, we're talking to you, and WeWork is talking to Uncommons about potentially being there. And Jim's comment was, I think we're going to hold back a bit and see how things play out. The next time you and I really interacted, you were now at Uncommons. And you gave my team a tour, a construction tour, hard hat, vests, meet at the trailer, and we're going to walk through, you know, floors are still dirt, structures are there, but you're walking through walls because there's nothing. Like that was the condition of Uncommons. Where everyone was trying to pump you for like, who are the tenants, who's coming here.
Yeah.
And Uncommons is very good about announcing tenants in a way that fits into their PR schedule.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about coffee shops. And you're like, there's a coffee shop coming here. It's a local, you gave us a couple of clues. It's a local coffee shop. I think you said they had 2 locations. I can't remember exactly.
Yep.
And so we're now trying to guess. Is it Mothership? And you're like, no, they have 3 locations. Is it this? No, they have 4 locations. Is it this? You're like, no, they have this. I think we went through 16 brands, which I didn't even realize there were that many local coffee shops. And every single one of them, you had like a broker in commercial real estate knows their market. It's as if you were the coffee shop broker that knew every single coffee shop, how many locations they had. You're like, no, they do have 2, but they actually have 2 leases signed and one's under. Like you were, how did you come to know so much?
I laugh because 2 weeks ago, my friend's like, hey, so you're the go-to. Where should I go? I'm currently in Henderson. What coffee shop should I go to? I was like, you should go here. You know, I feel like a lot of learnings of knowing your local, you know, coffee shops, local anything to support them comes from when I was in San Francisco and then LA and then coming back to Vegas. There was a lot of like community that banded together, and I kind of saw that like spike, especially around the tragedy that happened October 1. And then you started to have a lot of people band together, a lot of local shops happening in downtown. And then I got to connect with those individuals. And I just saw the importance of knowing local, because I believe, again, like that's where the community comes through, a sense of belonging. Everyone is really recognized within these local shops. So I made it one of my missions. And as you saw, to know my local coffee shops. And I would also say that San Francisco made me a huge coffee snob. So I really need to know my local coffee shops. So my husband wasn't like, ugh, like where are the coffees? But that played a lot to being able to talk about who's coming to Uncommons or who should come to Uncommons and partner with at Uncommons. So,
but you're not the broker.
I'm not the broker.
Right? That's not your job.
No.
And it's one thing to know, like, that's a good coffee shop or that's a good coffee shop. Most people, even the most coffee snobbish and the most foodies that like, pride themselves on finding new locations, they know them within their bubble, so to speak.
Yeah.
You knew every operation in town and how many locations they had. That's not like a normal, you're a go-to kind of a person. There's a whole nother level.
Yeah. And I just don't operate in bubbles. That's my biggest thing. And I even said this to my friends in downtown Summerlin, even when I was at Uncommons. I called it the sandbox, right? Like we're all playing in our own little sandboxes. I was like, I'm breaking the walls. Let's all hang out. Let's all play together. Like one city, one dream. Like obviously there's going to be certain type of folks that want to go to Summerlin. Obviously there's a couple folks that want to be in Henderson, but why can't we support each other, And that's just how I operated. And I think that's why I have so much knowledge of a lot of things outside of that bubble or sandbox and learning everything so that if someone doesn't want to come down Commons or someone doesn't want to come hang out with me in Summerlin, I'm like, okay, well, I know this place is really good. Let's go over there. I'll meet you there to support that business as well.
So it's driven in a way, two parts is what I'm hearing. One is to really support the local businesses.
Yeah.
So to know where they're at, but also whoever it is that you're engaging with, to meet them where they are, so to speak, and still connect them to that local operator.
Yeah, definitely.
You're so driven.
I mean,
so I want to pick up in a second.
Sure.
Pitching WeWork to Vegas and how that led you to Uncommons. Before we do that, this show is called Takeaways, and it's about people that I've had takeaways from. I like to ask everyone this question: what has been the single most influential thing or event in your life that has defined or shaped you the most?
I have many, but there's one that I could recently bring up that has shaped me to just know, never steer away from what you truly know is right for you and your core value, and what you stand for and what you do. And it was when I left Uncommons, and I didn't put it in there because it was really, really quick. I'm not going to call out the company because I still love and dearly love the folks. You can check my LinkedIn. You'll find out. But, but I left Uncommons, and I know I'm going way ahead, but it was a moment when I left Uncommons to pursue money versus purpose. And, Uncommons is so near and dear to my heart and still is to this day. Like Jim and I talk every week if we try or catch up, and I learn a lot from him. But I left because I was like, this is so much me. I want more growth. And I'm coming from, WeWork that I had multiple sites in multiple cities to like one property. And I felt like I was capping. Right. And so instead of me finding a thing that really aligned with myself, I went for the money. I went for something that's going to pay me a lot of money. I'm still going to have a lot of responsibilities. I'll learn a couple things. And my, oh my, in that short 6 months, I lost myself. I was so low. And the moment that I remember, it's still like I should have listened to Jim, but Jim knew that I needed to go through it. We were walking through Uncommons, and he's like, it's your last day. I'm like, I know. And he's like, I'm not going to tell you, like, what did he say? He went, it's going to come a moment where I'm going to have to probably tell you I told you so. he's like, you're going to the dark side. And he's not dissing like this individual company, but he knows, like you. He knows me.
Right.
He knows me. And he's just like, you're going to find yourself out of this and you're going to figure it out. And lo and behold, 6 months go by. And then I found these other opportunities with like Kiln and, Mindspace and other spots that I was talking to at that time. And it was like 3 months before that, I was like, I need to find my purpose again. I need my why, no matter pay or what. I just need to go back to what I know I thrive in and what I give back to the world in the way of being supportive and community. And then the doors opened and I finally had those. And that moment was really big for me and a learning lesson and a whoa, to never deviate from like what I know I need to keep at the core of what I do. And so money, honey, ain't it? It's not it. As much as we all need it and love it and, have to utilize it, or like some people are thriving to get more or whatever, I do believe that the currency that's the best is what your core value is.
So Tim Ferriss talks about different types of currency. Yeah. I don't know if it's originally him, but that's where I heard it from. And I think he might have talked about it in the 4-hour work week. There's currency, like how much money I make. There's currency and how much time, how much control I have over my time, and there's currency and mobility, meaning like right now, my mobility is low because I have 3 kids and they're the priority. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe a friend of mine, same age, married or not married, but no kids. If that friend wants to travel tomorrow, someone says, "Hey, let's go to Seattle." You can hop on a plane. He's got currency and mobility. There's a time, the way I think about it. For me, there's a season for that. I'm low mobility now because I go to work after work. And mobility, I've got probably a good amount of currency with what I do. I don't physically have to be here. I choose to be here because I believe in people being around people, me being around my people. When I go to conferences, I can work from there. So I have that. But what I don't have is the ability to be around my wife and kids and their respective activities because that's where they are in their life.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about currency. But I'm curious, and it's a 6-month stint. So you start out pretty motivated, excited, nervous, all the emotions and feelings, and you made a decision based on money. And then there's this arc to where you started to where you ended. What did it look like when you started feeling like this isn't for me, or you said you hit a low point?
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was so quick when I realized like, oh shit, what did I do? It was after the holidays. And then, January, February, I was like, this is like, I know I'm putting in the right work. I know that it's valued work. But it's not like fulfilling me. Like I pump it out. I, was helping out a lot of the marketing and filling the space and, kind of get creative and managing the teams. But in the industry that I was in at that time, it was just like, it was a very unforgiving industry. And mind you, the leader is a phenomenal individual, love him to death. I'm still a personal friend. They warned me before they hired me. Like, hey, this is going to be different. It's a place that you don't get the thanks, it's, and I'm not like thriving from that, but it just makes me feel like what I'm trying to build in that community and people connection, like it's just not going to move the needle here. Where I want to move the needle, and I want to be moving the needle for my daughter or for my friends' kids or just people in general. And I was like, I really went for the money. Like, okay, cool. I'm really unhappy. Just really, really unhappy. I worked a lot of hours that I usually would be happy with. I'm okay. I'm, in that way of like workaholic, but I feel very, very like balanced. But this to me was like draining. Everything drained me. And so I had a headhunter hit me up, for another co-working space called Mindspace. And at the same time,
Mine, right? MINE?
MIND space.
Mindspace.
Mindspace.
First time I'm hearing MySpace, like the old social media site.
Might be my tongue.
Then it's Mindspace because you said it's Israeli.
Yeah.
I can imagine that's how my people talk. This is Mindspace.
Mindspace.
So it's mind, M-I-N-D.
Mind, yeah. And then at that same time.
So they're looking to open here.
No, they were looking to have me move to New York. Yeah.
How's Randy feel about that?
Nah, he was cool with it.
He was.
Yeah, he went to college in New York, so he's like, cool, let's go. And at the same time, then got connected to Kiln, Kiln, Kiln. That one, Kiln, Kill. Yeah, you never know.
Kiln.
And they're opening in Las Vegas, so I got connected to those two, and I was like, okay, this is like, I said I needed a different change. I needed something else. And now it's coming to me in a way. I need to pursue this. And it was going back into the realm of, WeWork, where I found a lot of purpose and a lot of, excitement and a lot more buildings under me, like all the fun things that I love about co-working and project management and operations. And also, this is going to be at Uncommons. So then it touches like another piece of me. So it got really exciting. And so I really jumped into those two opportunities, and I learned like money is needed. Yes. I need to pay my bills. I need to pay for my daughter's school, whatever. I need to pay for my food. But I don't need excess amount if I'm going to be fulfilled in my work that I do. And again, I'm very privileged that I get to say that because I do have a partner, that he works full time as well. So I'm able to take that step back and recognize that and was able to make that change.
That's a thing, right? Dual income.
Dual income.
No, there's like an acronym for this, no?
Oh, dual income.
No kids or something like that?
Yeah, but got
You
that
have a
kid.
kid, right?
Ugh,
I didn't ask you about your kid. Tell me about your kid.
Olympia, Leona.
Olympia.
Yeah,
Oh, she's a
Olympia,
real name.
Leona Zinsser. Yeah. Whoa, what a kid. We're a one and done type of family. She's a wonderful, wonderful kid. Like, slept so easily at 2 months and on. Never had a problem with that. Never had problems, period. With people like, oh, I'm like in it. Like,
Yeah.
never had that with her. It was more so pregnancy was tough on me. We realized like we're both full-time workers. I also navigate in the world of I put myself first so that I could be better for my child and my husband and my work. So she's a great kid. I'm not a one and doneer because she was like miserable or anything like that. But she turned 7 in May.
Wow.
She is a big girl. She has her hobbies. She has her friends that like they pick her up, they hang out. Harry Potter fan right now. We're actually going to Universal for her birthday.
That's going to be fun.
Oh, it's going to be so awesome. She's all about Harry Potter. Like we've watched Harry Potter 7/8, she calls it, but it's the second half of 7, 50 times in the past like 3 months. I still like cry when I'm not going to do spoilers, but when someone dies. And yeah, she's a cool kid. She has every type of hobby she's into, just like us. She loves to run, big cyclist. Just a really well-rounded child for sure. Sweetheart. Yeah.
Your dog?
Dogs.
Dogs.
I got 2.
2 dogs.
Got a 90-pound German Shepherd Husky mix.
Wow.
Looks like a German Shepherd, has the coat of a Husky, but not the colors. He's like all the colors of a German Shepherd. Ralphie is his name. Jim Stewart would say, awful name.
Why?
He's like, that is not a name for this type of dog. He just wants to poke at me all the time.
What would Jim want to call you?
He would call it Messi, like the soccer player.
I don't think that's a better name.
I don't think that's a better name, but you know what? Him and I'm not seeing eye to eye. And then I have a small terrier named Murphy. So they're cool pups. The German Shepherd's 3 years old, terrier's 7 years old, and we're just busy little household with my little crew.
Yeah, what's going on?
Yep.
You talked about pitching Vegas to work.
Yeah. They didn't see it. I told them it's a market we need to be in. When I gave them that tour, they understood.
So you mentioned so Adam's not on this tour.
He's not on this tour. This was with that CWO.
Has Adam ever been to Vegas?
Yes. Yes, he has. Okay. He's visited Vegas a couple of times. And I pitched it, we toured it, and then they were in conversation with Howard Hughes' crew for 2 Summerlin. And then we got 2 floors there. Opened in June 2018. No, I lie. June 2019. And we opened at a 75% occupancy. And so it was a very big, like, I told you this market is great.
So that's like there's pent-up demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
To open.
Yeah.
With that much occupancy.
Mm-hmm.
What's like typical lease up? So you sign a lease, you're building out the space. Mm-hmm. You open your doors, you've got X%, I imagine, and you guys pro forma X%. Mm-hmm. And then at what point would you expect in a normal lease up, would you get to 100?
Gosh, in a normal lease up, to even get to that 50% of opening. So, okay, we open. Normal is usually reaching like 40%, 50%. To get anything beyond that 50, it's like, oh, we hit something right here, right? The market, the office skews, right? Which is like, is it 2-person office? It's a 5-person office? Is it a 100-person office, right? All the way to like our marketing, our team, our pre-tour, leads, everything. And then for Vegas to open at that percentage was like beyond. And then so in a normal, not Vegas, probably take about 3 to 5 months or more, again, depending, to get to like 100% occupancy. And WeWork works off of occupancy, right? And that's not even looking at revenue. It's just like, what percentage are we at? What percentage are we full? We're Kiln, on the other end, we work off of revenue, right? And revenue in our space. So that's a little bit of a difference on the two. But Las Vegas just skyrocketed. We, at the same time, we're opening Town Square a couple months later. And that we opened the first phase, which was the second floor, at 90%.
Wow.
And mind you, again, different, but we hit it right because DraftKings came and took over a ton of space.
So talk about that. What did that...
Yeah.
How is that an anomaly? What was the significance of that? Why did it work for them?
Yeah. So,
who was DraftKings?
Yeah, DraftKings, gaming company, like betting. I'm not a bettor myself. My best friend currently works there. He was actually my community manager at WeWork, and now he's working at DraftKings, which is so great. But it was like right time, right place. DraftKings was looking to establish themselves here in Las Vegas, and they were looking for space. And we were opening in Town Square, and our business development manager at the time was like, "Hey, I have this big fish on this hook. What are we looking at?" And I was like, "Let's go. Like, how do we get this across the line?" So Town Square is a massive, massive, like, WeWork floor plate. And so they just needed all the space, and they signed. And then they signed, mind you, we opened at 90-something%. Then we opened the third floor, and that brought us down a bit. But then we skyrocketed back up to 90s because then DraftKings took over the whole third floor, all of it. And so it showed that, oh, wow, there's demand in Las Vegas. Where's our third building? And so that's when I started to talk to Uncommons. And we then had Uncommons. We had the folks from Narrative. We had another group, I forget their name, all come to Two Summerlin and be like, "This is why you should come here, be here. Like, let's look at this." And that's when I met Jim Stewart and Kevin Burke. And I also met Tom around that time as well. That whole trio. Didn't meet Matt Rue yet, but almost did. But that's how I met them. And that's when Jim and I started to have like a lot of conversations around WeWork, and then me potentially joining Uncommons. So
you did join Uncommons?
I did. Yeah, I did join Uncommons. I left WeWork in 2020. This is during
the pandemic.
During the pandemic, I left. The IPO failed in 2019. Jim sent me an amazing email saying, "We're thinking about you. Let us know what your plan is. What's up with you?" And always kept in constant contact. At that time, the deal for a third building, off the table. Like, we're not growing. We shouldn't be growing. And then throes of 2020 happened, and around, I remember, March-ish, that's when the pandemic started to really ramp up. Before things closed down, Jim and I toured Town Square, and he's like, "Still, do you want to come to Uncommon?" And when he first sent the email prior, I said, "No, I want to stay with my team. I need to be here. It's a really tough time for my team. I need to be here for them." And then when 2020 came around, I was like, I think it's time for me to close the door. And I hit 5 years. That was 5 years with WeWork at that time.
That's your pattern.
5 years.
5 years at Mustang Sally as an organ donor.
Yeah, I kind of broke the pattern.
San Francisco for 6 years.
Yes. And I broke the pattern with Uncommons, though, when I was there for 3 years.
Yeah, all bets are off now. We
don't know. We don't know what I'm going to do, guys. And so I...
How many total years of WeWork?
WeWork was 5.
5 total years?
5 total years. Yeah, 5 total years. Then when the pandemic happens and they rearranged their org, WeWork did, and they gave me an opportunity there, either as an area director, because I was also overseeing Phoenix and Vegas. So those were my markets, right? I call it Southwest. And they're like, either to be an area director, you would have to reapply and move to Denver, or you could get demoted and be a community manager. And that's when I was like, I'm good. I think it's time for me to close this door. So I took the severance package, which was like delightful in a pandemic, right? I'm like, hey, I'm going to take 6 months of severance. This is great. Like, cool, fine, fantastic. I'm out. I didn't want to leave Vegas. And I remember calling Jim and being like, I can't leave Vegas. I believe in this market way too much. I'm seeing already the ramp up with WeWork and the importance of being one of the individuals that is so fortunate to be a mover and a shaker for the community here in Las Vegas. So I want to stay. What does this look like? And he's like, oh, the pandemic. Like we're not breaking ground yet, girl. So I just waited and I became a consultant for them in October of 2020. And that's when we kind of started like to play around with the marketing and social media. I started to get like the uncommon people, like, like highlighting the mover and shakers in the valley. And then I became full time with them, and literally dirt to buildings, to tenants and to community, filling the space up was my journey at Uncommons.
So all that is important to understand because you are actually probably one of the few people in the country that is an expert in this space around co-working.
Yeah.
Is that the term?
Yeah, co-working.
Give me all the terms. So there's co-working.
Co-working, flex space.
Flex, there's executive office.
Yeah.
What are the other? Co-working, executive office, flex.
There's all the community space.
Is there a difference between any of those or no? Is executive office the same as co-working? Is it?
I would love to break down like a lot of the where people like tend to trip up and not understand is that they think about co-working and they're like, oh, I'm not going to get any work done there. What does that mean? And da-da-da-da. And because everyone has a lens of traditional space, right? Like Uncommons, you have tenants that come in, get a big old floor plate, fill in their own space, have to deal with all of the cost of that. And that's like traditional space. Where you think about co-working, though it's blocked into its own like 4-person office, 6-person office, 30+ person office. You get to like go in there, hang up your hat and get to work. And what I mean by that is you don't have to worry about those extra costs and extra things you have to bring to your company, right? Like I don't need to worry about events and programming. Like Kiln has us on that end. They're going to make sure that my team has that sense of community and coming together. I don't have to worry about my coffee. I don't have to worry about the water. I don't have to worry about snacks because, midday, morning and afternoon snacks are provided by Kiln. We have some fun, events that we host that folks could go to and start networking and learn from the neighbor that like you're working next to. You're like, oh my gosh, I do need a financial support. This person's like that finance. There's all these ways to connect, right? And I don't need to worry about my electricity bill. I don't need to worry about all these other things that come with an office. Co-working is the way to go. I have the space. I could go outside of my 4 walls of my space and go into all these conference rooms and all this soft seating. Like there's just more bang for your buck and to save your head space to just get your work done, right?
I'll tell you where my head's going.
Tell me.
Born and raised here, UNLV, left for a year, worked for my fraternity, came back, started working with my dad. We had a construction company. Furnishing. So we worked in the home office. Now it's time to get an office. At least I think couldn't have been more than 1,100 square feet. Class D office space.
Oh,
yeah. Go get the Chamber of Commerce discount at Office Max or whatever it was to buy furniture. So it's 3 offices and a conference room. Little like lobby area. We got a couch. With the Chamber of Commerce discount, it was, I think, $40,000 in furniture. Oof. And my dumb ass is sitting there trying to put the chair together. I put the wheels in and then the base, and you're screwing under the table, trying to screw it together. And then you're right. Where does the coffee maker go? You have to get a coffee maker. I
It's
got one
a
here, but
lot.
do I use the one at home? Do I leave the one at home? Do I go get a new one?
And if it breaks, you're screwed.
Then if it breaks, then it's like, it's you and a few people. And then like customers maybe show up a few months later and it's like, oh crap, we forgot to get more coffee or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's in I'm thinking about that to say, one of the objections of anything like this is you look at it per square foot compared to office per square foot, and it's exorbitantly higher. But it's an optics thing.
Yes.
Because you don't take into account that your dumbass is going to be on the floor putting together the chair.
It's that, right?
Yeah.
And think about this. You guys started with X amount of employees, and you have a certain space.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I'm growing. My company's booming. I got to do this all over again.
Well, first of all, you're in a 3-year lease.
Oh, yes, right?
So you've got to figure out your growth.
Yes.
For whatever the fixed amount of the lease term is. But the other thing that you talked about that wasn't on my mind at all, but like how isolating it feels. There's like we had like an office manager kind of person, me, my sister, and my dad would come in and out every now and again.
Yeah.
And really, we just had the office for like the office manager to feel comfortable to not come to our house. And we were perfectly comfortable there.
Right. It's isolating.
But then that's it. There's no like if there was now within a space, that's within a bigger space.
Yeah.
And the image, by the way, that when you do have those clients that come through from time
they're
to time.
They're like, what is
it's like,
this?
Where are you, dude?
Yeah,
what is this?
What is this? Like, and why not have your client or someone that even like an investor you might be trying to pitch to, like come into such a beautiful curated space. You have the community team there too, that's dealing with your mail, like making sure it's scanned, you're ready to go, dealing with your guests, like, and I meant dealing like in a bad way, but like they're there for you.
It's really the connection, the impression that they're getting.
Yeah.
It's what you're projecting as a professional.
Exactly. And I'm
selling you here.
I mean, here we are. Also, like, your team's growing, or even if on the other end, your team's getting smaller, there's the flexibility. We're month to month, or you could want to sign a year.
All right, now you're selling me.
Listen, it's nice. And then you also you have that flexibility. And that to me is like brings a lot more like less stress in your work. So you just get work done. Like that's the biggest thing. Because the other flip side to it is we have some folks that are like community space. Like you're going to basically make my employees just like never be working. It's like, no, like we're there for when your team is able to take a break and come out and like enjoy your community. Yeah, I've heard that before a couple times. And that's when I like, of course, get my little hat of like, okay, I'm not working with a community person. They're like looking at business. How much is this going to be? What's the benefit? And that's when I come in with like, all right, you got to think outside your 4 walls, square footage. Like what else is this and that? And like, it's that kiln versus traditional, right? And once they sit with us and
what's traditional?
Traditional is like just regular like space, like office.
Like I go and lease my own space.
Lease your own space.
I thought you maybe were comparing it to like Regis.
No, like this is like my own office space. Like you have your space here, right? And you're not in a kiln, you're in your own space that you guys operate. And that's a traditional space. And you got to deal with all of that. Like I'm going to help you get through why this is still beneficial for you, even if you're not looking at the community side of it. Because there's that one guy that's bringing his team in, and the team is thriving. And I sit there, I'm like, also retention. Like we live in this world of like, what is it? Like a couple years ago, the great
resignation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember talking about that at a panel, and like this helps like shut that door, and you have a lot of these Gen Zers and all these folks that need that type of workspace.
No. They want to work from home.
It's so true. But this helps. This helps them.
I'm glad. Okay.
This helps them come into the space.
I want to ask your opinion because you are legitimately an authority in how people come together within an office space.
Mm-hmm.
So you brought up the Great Resignation. So
yeah.
Co-working is not a new thing. Executive office space is not a new thing.
No.
Work from home, remote work, these are not new things.
No.
These things all existed before the pandemic. What the pandemic did was accelerate all of it and created a trend that people didn't want to come back to the office.
Yeah.
So Kevin Burke was one of my guests on this podcast, and we talked about this. He was of the opinion that work from home benefits the employee solely. It doesn't benefit our clients.
Mhm.
And his company, his values is we do things to benefit our clients. That's why we exist. That's why we're even in business. And if you want to work here, that's a value that you're going to have to adopt.
Mhm.
Now, I'm an office broker. Before the pandemic, these are things that never reconciled for me.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic, when you're designing an office space, all the rage,
Mhm.
all the panels, all the articles, all of the architectural, showcases.
Yeah.
All the rage was designing your space for collaboration.
Mhm.
You know, adopt it or not adopt it, but rip out every office in your space and
Yeah.
make it all shared space. And so
Yeah.
people can be next to each other and feel each other and
Yeah.
collaborate.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that it's better for us to work from home because I can get more work done.
Mhm.
Where does all that go? All of, hundreds of years of office space, science and design and theory, like the open office became a thing. Well, like just before the pandemic,
Yeah.
right? Open office space design. And I was researching it. It was actually in the 30s in Germany when something like that, the open office design really started to come to light.
Mhm.
But now it's like what's old is new again. But we got to bring people together. We're creatures, social creatures, right?
All the things.
Where did that go? It's gone.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to work from home. How do you feel about work from home? It's bubkiss.
I don't.
I'm leading the witness.
You're leading the witness. I believe that if you have the right space for your employees, they're not going to want to work from home. If you have the right culture and the right um drivers and understanding, they're not going to want to work from home. What I mean by that is there's going to be things that happen in our life that someone does need to work from home. And if you make it this big old deal and make it, people like, you're supposed to be in here. It's like, yeah, I do want to be in there. Trust me. Like, this is like an unexpected thing. That's fine, right? Unexpected things happen. Sometimes people need to have their heads down. It's way too busy. They got to do this. They got to do that. But if you have a space that's inviting and programming and people that want to be there and also have areas in your work that they could have heads down time and be without the ruckus of whatever may be, and they feel supported. And this goes to my first point. If your people are happy, your business thrives, and your business most likely will thrive if people are all in the office to collaborate. You got to make your people happy, and they're going to want to come in. Now, there's some spaces where people just don't feel that support, and they're like, ugh, like I could just get all my work done at home. Like I don't want to be around there. And it might be like a toxic environment, might not be set up for them to be collaborative. Like
different problem right there.
That's a different problem. And there are some jobs like, and this is a great example, DraftKings, right? They're hybrid, but they have a whole team that they know is way more productive at home. And so they make sure that team is like being productive at home. But that's like their model. And that's usually like the software guys, right? Like they're at home engineering, doing all the things.
And they're working.
Yeah. And
they're working more probably than they would if they had to come into the office and it's a 8-hour day.
100%. My husband is a software engineer for a biotech company. Mm-hmm. He's been remote for years. He goes into WeWork still to this day because there's not a kiln here yet. But he goes into WeWork and he craves it. He craves it. Like in his company is supportive. They let you work from wherever. They made it like their culture where they like bring people in like every quarter, come together. But then he could get his work done. But he himself craves being around people. And so he goes into a collaborative, beautiful space, right? So it's just really...
It's that there's ritual in getting ready and quote unquote going to work as opposed to brushing your teeth and going to sit on the couch with your laptop.
Yeah. Also, like if you like location matters, right? Like looking at like Vegas Valley, for example, so easy for uncommons and narrative in this area of the Southwest to be booming in office now and like, getting people in because it's so central for everyone from Henderson or Summerlin to come in. It's not like, oh, sorry, no, our office is in Summerlin, you Henderson folk. Like you got to like also realize how much it's going to take for someone and how much hours of their productivity gets taken away rather than doing work, right? And it's that balance.
It's interesting. So you have WeWork in Summerlin and Town Square, and now you have Kiln
right in the southwest area.
Southwest.
Yeah.
All right. So I know about WeWork.
Yeah.
I know very little about Kiln except for I think your branding is green.
Green.
Is it green?
We're earth tones.
Earth tone.
Green. Yeah. Terracotta.
Where is it from? What is this company? How is it different than WeWork or Regus? Why Vegas?
Yeah. So Kiln started in Salt Lake City. Our first location's in the Gateway. And then started booming from there.
Not Israelis.
No, not Israelis. No. Arian Lewis, not Israelis. I know it's the first one for me in the co-working realm. Arian Lewis and Lee, they have a really extensive background in co-working. And they were like, well, let's start something on this West Coast. So they started in Utah. That's where Arian's from. And then Lehigh, Park City, like all these other spots in Utah that we've opened. A recent one that we opened is in Provo. So we're pretty solid in the Utah market. And now we've been spreading through the West, right? So we already have, I'm going to start from the top. We have Idaho now. Meridian's been open for a while. We're going to open our second location there in Boise. Montana, we're going to be opening up Bozeman at the end of this year. Really, really excited for that. And, we then have, Oregon and with Portland, looking at other sites there. Going down, you have our Utah and then Colorado. We have Littleton, Colorado and Boulder, Colorado. Looking at more sites there as well. California, we acquired these 3 tiny spots on the coast in Solana, Leucadia, and Carlsbad from another operator. So we snagged those 3 up, and then we're opening Rancho Bernardo in May of this year, which is a fantastic spot as well. And then Arizona, we opened Gilbert, Arizona, and then Phoenix is open as of a month ago. And St. George just opened too. I forgot about that Utah location. And then Vegas. Ugh, that's a lot. You don't have to say that. You don't have to use all of that in a clip, but it's a lot. Mainly, we are a West Coast-based company. We're found in these certain like parts of the community. You won't find us in a big like San Francisco, right? Like you're gonna most likely find us in like a smaller like Bay Area city. Trying to find those neighborhoods that you have the average worker goes out, but why don't we bring the average worker closer to where they're home and straight into work and straight into doing moving their company forward. Kiln, like it's so, I hate being like this person where like I could say this, but it's like one of those things that you have to see it, like you have to feel it when you go in there. The way that the space is built out. WeWork, for example, they build out every inch of their space mostly to be like that revenue garner, like office, where we have our offices, but we also think about a human like that's going to utilize the space. Like, yeah, you could be in your office, but what about this beautiful soft seating that's custom made, but like that's by us, that Kiln built it,
What is soft seating?
Soft seating is like an area, like we have multiple like sofas and beautiful curated
Just
tables.
A design term? Or
yeah, design term, like soft seating.
Describing like the chair that I'm sitting in.
Yeah, basically like an area, like a living room, soft seating, like, a place you could be comfortable. And our teams build it. Like that's something that's so unique is our own teams are building the like certain millwork, certain spot pockets. Like we have our own design team, our build team. And Lee, who's the co-founder, it leads the design team. So he looks at how every part is going to feel for the human experience.
What's his background?
Oh my gosh, you're putting me on the spot. Design.
Sounds like a designer.
Yeah, he's a designer. Barclays, worked at Barclays and Rise. Those are some spots too, across the pond in London and beyond. But what's so special about Kiln is the community programming, really the networking of it all and what's beneficial to a member, right? If I'm going to sign my team for 20 plus office and put my coins toward this, what's going to benefit my team? And we make sure there is master classes by, leaders and said subject. So like if I'm like, hey, I'm going to bring you in to really talk about brokerage and like, what does this look like? And all of our members are invited to that, for their knowledge and their growth. Hey, there's going to be a wellness event that's geared towards movement or something that's more for the mind. We had this beautiful event in Gilbert, Arizona, where the member experience associate, Raina, she put on a YouTube channel that was like talking through affirmations and like aha moments in the middle of the day to take a break.
Was it David Goggins?
I don't know what she did. She probably did David Goggins. And like also paint by numbers was on the table. Like really curated moments for you to feel taken care of, right? And the space is stunning. We fill our kiln spaces with so many plants. Like we rent
real plants.
We rent our plants.
Is that part
we
of the
have
job
someone,
description?
No, I should never water them.
I'm terrible.
I would kill a plant that should not die.
I don't know. Is this the plant that needs a lot of water? Or is this the plant that needs like little water?
I feel like they all need water. Like, right?
I've overwatered
so many times.
Yeah, it's like that plant doesn't take a lot. How am I supposed to know that?
Right. And so we rent it and we have a provider, someone comes in and takes care of it. Literally so many plants. And it's, that's scientifically known, like plants are really good for humans, right?
Oxygen.
Yeah. And so really, every space is meant for...
So you have to feel it is what you're saying.
You have to feel it. You really do. Like I sit here and we could say it and we could say it and we could say it, but it's like that feeling when you walk in, we have this one location where it's like, oh, you guys are here? Huh. All right. Like questionable. But then you walk in, you're like, oh my gosh, let me sign up ASAP. Like, let me be here. And that's kiln. Like I've never, ever in my years in co-working have felt that feeling when I walk into a space. And I do that every time I go to a new space.
How do I know if you're just saying that?
Okay. I am also a terrible liar.
What is it about? Like Jim, I was talking to Jim recently and he said, and you know how he is, right?
Yes.
Everything is with incredible passion.
Yes.
And it's like, this is the best ever of its kind. And you're like, okay, I don't disagree or question it, but like, I'm curious, like do the breakdown of what are the elements that make it the best ever. Like how you've never felt this way. Like you've been around a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
Considering the territory that you've covered.
A lot of spaces.
Different geography, the different markets, different types of buildings and vintages.
My biggest thing that I did at Uncommons and what I do here at Kiln too, but my biggest thing is how do people feel when they walk in? And like, I always want people to feel like they belong. That's like my biggest thing. And the way that the space is built is meant for you to be like, I'm supposed to be here. Like the colors, the way that it's laid out, the people that greet you, it's just this wow, like the moment you walk in. And I've been in a lot of co-working spaces, as you said, and those are meant to come in, let's get work done. Where's your money? Where's your dollar? It's like, no, like just come and work for a day with us. Come and walk into our space. Just come visit us. And the amount of passion that goes behind this space to build it. And mind you, I have the front row seat to that. So that's why I'm like, oh my gosh. You don't even have to have the front row seat. It's like the moment you walk in because how it is laid out for your welcome just makes you feel like, okay, I belong here no matter what business, no matter you're starting your business or you just need a spot to pop into like, oh gosh, I just Googled this. You're just always welcome no matter what. And that's something that is just so special. Like so special. And
I mean, how does that get continued when you're not there?
Oh,
because I feel like you or whoever else is hired that is like you. So we talked earlier about Wino, for Wine Bar at Uncommons. I've gotten to know the guys there pretty well.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to Norman once, the general manager, I have not had an interaction with anybody at Wino that wasn't an engaging and like warm person.
Mm-hmm.
And one or two is one thing, but like literally there's not
Every
been
time.
one. I've been there several times, not one person.
Yeah.
So they're clearly either looking for that or they're attracting that or both.
Mm-hmm.
There's something there around that.
It goes to if your people are happy, your business thrives.
I think we have our title for the podcast episode.
Our culture at Kiln, or the culture at Uncommons, right? Like you have, I don't call it like value, like they're my gosh, culture adds, not culture fits. I'm very big on the no fit thing.
What does that mean?
Like,
what's the difference?
The fit is like you're trying to fit them in this box that we created. Your business and the experiences are going to stay within that box.
So you either fit or you don't. You're out of here.
Well, no, it's more so like, how do we have the basis of what is like culturally, we have our mission, we have what we want to do, we know what we want when people walk in through our doors and want to stay with us. Like you have very much like-minded individuals that are really passionate about that, right? But if you start adding these culture adds, right, these people that come with a different background but still have that like North Star, that core value, you then start building your culture up, right? And really robust culture. And within Kiln, we really welcome that. We're a small company, especially come from WeWork, where it's like I was employee 600 and left when it was like 10,000 plus employees.
Sounds like you were employee number 5.
Basically. Here at
But
Kiln,
you were 600 already?
600.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
And at Kiln, your number, do you know?
Kiln, I don't know what I was.
You got to get a t-shirt.
I need to, but we're only like around 100, hovering around 100, 120 people in our whole company. And we have these individuals that care. We have these people that feel cared for, and supported. And when they're not feeling cared for, they can vocalize it in a safe space. And how do we make sure that we are then supporting our individuals? So when you have a team that feels like their regionals and their executive team care for them, they're going to show up and dedicate themselves like no other in their space. And that when a member or somebody walks in, they're going to feel that. They're like, okay. And so I don't need 20 million carbon copies of me. Please, no. I don't want so many like people like me. I want people that also teach me and grow me.
That's stimulating for you too.
Yeah. And so like the community gets to feel all these wonderful individuals, no matter what their background is, but everyone has the same North Star. And
you're currently under construction?
We are.
How many square feet is it?
About 30.
30,000. So is that on multiple floors?
2 floors. We have half of the first floor, and then we have the whole second floor. And building 3, which we're in the Genu Bank building. So when you're looking at it, that's our spot.
It's not the Kiln building?
Just the Kiln floor. I wish we had a building.
Rebrand the whole building.
We should.
I get to ask you because you're an authority on this too.
Yeah.
So Uncommons built this thing called the Assembly.
Yes.
What is it, and how funny and full circle that part of the lease of Kiln is that you're taking over operations of the Assembly. And so you went from Uncommons and operating the Assembly. I don't know, did you actually get to do anything with it, or were you already gone?
I helped launch it. Kind of built some of the bones, a lot of the operational logistics, but then I left it got launched in October, so I left like right when it got launched. But I was...
Or what is this thing? The Assembly.
5,000 square feet of space, indoor, outdoor. You have 2 rooms, the outdoor space. The 2 rooms have those accordion doors that you can like open up and you could spill into the whole space. Then you have another area where it's like this like kitchen, back of house, and like area where you have the hot cold tops, so you could have your catered food there. It's bookable event space. There is literally no ceiling on what could be booked there. We've had wedding receptions, birthdays, happy hours for businesses, like all the things in that space.
I've been there 3 times.
Oh, nice.
3 times that I was involved, and 1 other time. So I think the guys did a fundraiser for Commissioner Mike Nash.
Yes.
I went to that. I asked Jim if we could do
Yes, I
an
was helping
event
him
with
with that.
it's a high school entrepreneurship program.
Yeah.
And Jim spoke. This is funny.
Mhm.
So you were actually leaving as this was happening, and you handed me off to someone else. So let me.
Mhm.
So it's high school kids, but it's
Yeah.
actually 7th graders, 8th graders, and high school kids.
Mhm.
And I gave a little bit about commercial real estate 101.
Yeah.
You know, what's an office building, an industrial building, a retail building. And then we got to mixed use. This is mixed use where you combine them. And here's Jim Stewart, who's the guy that developed this. And what a great guy Jim is. He agreed to talk to high school kids. He gets nothing from this except for a sense that, hey, I'm giving my time. The guy lives in San Diego. He stayed extra to do this. And so I think it was during my portion, I went through the product types for commercial real estate. There's office, retail, industrial, multifamily, and land. Those are the 5 food groups. I call them that. Land isn't sexy, I said.
Yeah.
A 7th grader or 8th grader sitting in the front row, who is the son of someone very prominent here locally, I might add, says, what does sexy mean? And I'm like horrified now, like recognizing, this is something that it's so common to say around commercial real estate circles. Land isn't sexy. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a pretty building. It doesn't shimmer and shine. It's dirt. And this kid's like, what is sexy? And I'm immediately horrified. And Jim's kind of sitting, waiting for his part.
I'm sure he did one of these.
No. You know Jim. He's like, yeah, Hayim, what is sexy? I'm like, Jim, let it die. Just let it go. Because the other kids are laughing. And this kid's like, what is it? I'm like, we're moving on. Jim's like, we're not moving on. What is this thing?
Just kept poking.
Yeah.
That's Jimbo for you.
Yeah. So the other one we did was for the Jewish Nevada Men's Division.
Nice.
This is another organization that I've been a part of. Professional men that value being Jewish and being around other Jewish guys. Typically, the demo is between 35 to call it 60. And so we did another thing at the assembly with Jim. And he was really, it wasn't me at all. It was just him talking to them about what it's like taking a project like that from assembling the land to however many hundreds of millions of dollars it costs. And he was, one of the stories he shared was around how he stalked a small ice cream operator for 2 years to sign like a 1,500 square foot lease so that Salt and Straw would be there, and how meaningful that was. Not so economically meaningful compared to like a DraftKings that's taking an entire building, but how meaningful it is to have them there, and everything in between all that. It was very cool. And that was all that was in the assembly.
Yeah. How was your experience?
It's a very cool space. I mean, for Vegas, an indoor-outdoor space is awesome to have. The way that you can open up the doors and use the entire square of it, or in a couple of times when I was just in one of the two, one of them was catered. Yeah, I would say catered by Wino. So they had, light bites and wine. So the ability to pull in any of the food vendors from there, I imagine you could bring in your own too if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can.
It's a cool thing for the community, for people who know about it and need something creative and accessible to book. But I'm curious now with Kiln. So that was when Uncommons had it, right? So now Kiln, as part of the lease, as far as what I understand, now controls the space, operates the space.
It's our space.
And so you talked about programming for the Kiln community. Get to use it. What kind of things are you guys planning? Have you done anything there yet?
Yeah, we have already.
The Kiln isn't open yet, right? It's still under construction interior?
Still under construction. Looking beautiful though. Like you could actually walk through the space now and be like, I see it. Like our branded colors are everywhere. Feels very earthy and warm and fun. So we've been operating that space since October 2024. We took over. And we took over some events that were already set with Uncommons, but we're seeing like the same type of clientele. We have our happy hours again, like for our mixers and all that for folks that need a spot to have all their business folks around. Like I know we have a bank coming up soon that has an event. And, we're trying to get NAOP and SIOR over there for like the smaller events. I know like you guys are run bigger crews.
These are commercial real estate associations. Alphabet soup.
alphabet soup, and trying to get, those into our space. But we also have started carrying our own events there. We recently partnered with this wonderful woman named Sadie. She is a author for really journaling and finding your purpose. And so we had a journaling activation there that brought about 40 plus people to come
Wow.
through the space.
Did everyone bring their journal, or do you get one as part of the registration?
We gave a kiln journal. So we got cool little kiln swag. And we also had our new neighbor that's opening up at Uncommons, Blue Bottle.
This is a coffee shop. I don't know anything about them except for Blue Bottle Coffee, and I should know about them.
Jim brought them specifically for my husband. That's what he would say.
From where?
They're based out of San Francisco, but they're pretty big now. They were like very small when we were starting the snobbery of coffee when I lived in San Francisco. But they came in and did a pop-up with that event and brought some of their really cute little iced coffee. And so we have those type of events where we're making sure that when we are doing a free event with a partnered individual, that they're not just for that one moment. Like Sadie's going to be someone that we partner for once we're open and come into our own space to do certain pop-ups. And, Blue Bottle will come and do a pop-up in our own space. Wino, I toured them today to see like when can they pop into our space and do like some apéritif work where it's like a bunch of cheese and wine for one of our get-togethers with our members. We have a wellness area in our space in Kiln that will partner with everything that we're doing at the assembly. We have a wellness area that is a gym and an area where there's a salt wall that you could like disconnect and hang out. So a lot of the people that we're partnering up at assembly to do like Pilates and yoga are going to be doing that also within our space. So we're calling it like the Kiln Uncommon community events. So every month we're trying big hefty one, but we're trying to make sure that we're have those little gatherings for our members and also for people that are not members, so that we're still trying to bring people together.
Ask, how do you promote this? You have a Kiln database?
Yeah, we Eventbrite. We've been promoting it through Eventbrite or our own social medias. And pushing it through like partnered social media posts as well with any of these creatives. Like Sadie, wonderful following. She's partnered with us and really pushed us on that end as well. So
it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
It is different. Yes.
So I'm curious. I want to ask you about fashion and tattoos.
Yes. What about fashion and tattoos?
I ask you about them. I don't have any tattoos. I wouldn't say... So I'm not fashionable. I think I have...
You're fashionable.
What's cool about this, right? I have to prepare for these conversations. And so much of it can be reflective. And if I'm asking you about two things that you're about, which is clearly fashion, and you clearly have tattoos.
Yes.
I don't have any tattoos.
Yeah.
So I have some curiosities and questions around for you, tattoos. But then the other part, like fashion, what am I going to ask you about? Am I fashionable? Am I a fashionable person? It's kind of like the thought process, narrative, right? Would I like to be a fashionable person? And then how do I feel about fashion? What do I think about it?
Yeah.
Here's what I landed on in the last sort of several hours. I certainly have a style. I have preferences. I have a point of view on what I like to wear and how I would express myself in that regard.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that I'm fashionable. Like I don't follow trends. I've never followed fashion trends. More than anything, it's classic cuts and fits and whatnot.
Yeah.
And it's all within a range. I will veer out of the range, but not too far out of the range. And it's usually there is not, I don't want to say a statement, but it's not cookie cutter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What is your veering out of the range? Like, what is that? Like, aha.
So there's been, I know I've got capability. So when I was in college and in my nightclub days, it was tiger print pants.
Okay.
No problem. That was great. Leather Armani pants.
Love it. Those are still
but
in.
They're all like, from afar, you would see maybe, black t-shirt. You wouldn't really see that they're tiger print. But as you get closer, now you see that I'm wearing tiger print pants.
Those are still in, by the way. Just letting you know.
So around here at MDL Group for Halloween, people decorate other things too, but like this particular story, we have two folks that decorated their cubicles. Each of them had a skeleton. So I walked by one. I'm like, the skeleton's pretty bare. It's just bones. So I brought my running stuff. Brought a hat, brought my shirt, brought some shorts, my running shoes. And now Teresa had a skeleton that was a runner. Savannah had like a rocker skeleton, but no pants. I'm like, I got some pants. I'll bring you tomorrow. I'll bring the tiger print pants because I still have them.
You still have them?
I still have, of course. I mean, they're going to come and use it.
I'm telling you, they're still in right now.
Yeah.
Fashion is...
You asked. I just...
Yeah, no. I love it. I want to see these pants now. Like, how do I make it work on me? But
they all... I'm telling you, these are a thing.
Tattoos. I have an older brother. He started getting tattoos, and then I was like, he can't be cooler than me. And I started with the one I have on my wrist, which is his initials.
The first one.
Why
his initials?
Yeah, he's my big bro. I followed a career that he had as well. So I was always like following him and looked up to him and still do. He's going to hear this and be like, looked up to him. But it was my first tattoo. It was his initials. I took it as a symbol of like holding his hand, and I'm not going to get it my first tattoo in my hand. I would now. I'm cool with it. But that was my first one. And I was like, okay, like one's good. And then I just started to collect them. And I came at it in a very weird way. When I first started to get like all of my sleeves, I actually would cover them up, like, because I didn't want the attention of it, which is like, why did you get tattoos? I truly got it just for myself. All of my tattoos on my arms are dedicated to my family. Each one has something for my grandpa, my abuelo, my abuela, like my mom, my dad, with Ollie, like it's all dedicated to someone. And so I didn't do it for like the vanity of it. And then it became this big popular thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I look kind of cool with it. That's cool. And I'm not done. Like I'm still going to get more tattoos. And it's definitely like my personality. I cannot imagine me without them. Like I try. I've done like that eraser like app where I'm like, let me see what I look like. Horrifying. I'm like, who is this person? Not me.
So I grew my beard during COVID.
There you go.
And I like this now. And if I shaved it, I feel like I would.
Yeah.
This isn't me right now.
Yeah, you can't. It's just weird. And then fashion. I've always been into fashion because of my mom and my grandma. Very, very high fashion women, but like edgier as well. My grandma's fashionista. Abuela, most fashionista woman ever to walk this planet. So I always saw like how you put yourself together, nails done, rings, jewelry, all of that. After I had Ollie though, I started to dive more into just like looking at trends, but then how do I make it more like edgier to myself? Like how do I like add more of a touch to it? And the past, like since having Ollie and then just ramp up, and even this past 2 years being at Uncommons, like showing like how impactful it is to wear a certain type of fashion. Like you saw me, the first thing you said today, where's your hat? Like, where's the brim hat? Right. And how that like could just kind of puts you out like as it signifies as your like sense of style and how you represent yourself is like your brand. And so I'm really, really into making sure that I'm showing up as like my brand of who I am outside of just like the tattoos. So it's really interesting to play around with it. I still have my edgier moments where I'm like, oh, that was a funky outfit. But I kind of stick to kind of
look back like, what the hell was I thinking?
I mean, yeah, there's some outfits where I'm like, that didn't work. I thought that worked in my head.
In the moment.
But now I just go with, put it together. How do I feel? Great, go. Like I try not to overthink it because I realize my outfits that I overthink, I miss completely. And that's like not my brand because I tend to not be that overthinker in like what I look. I'm like, well, I know what I like. I know what I want to do and go.
And how much of it is it what I'm feeling right now?
It's a lot of it. If I'm not feeling so hot, you're going to see me be a little bit more like, I want it to be more sporty. Like my sweatpants suits or with a little swag to it, like a pop of something, some jewelry to kind of put my stuff together. And then if I'm like, oh, I want to be a little edgier and like add a little bit more like leather studded shoes and, more crazy jewelry. My friend likes to call me Bruno Mars when I wear all my jewelry. Like all of my earrings, like, there's areas of like, oh, I feel like really going up. And there's times where I'm like, I feel like just not putting energy into this. But it's a brand, and that's something that's really important. I learned a lot of that through.
You think about it as in like, this is your brand.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Definitely. Like I have people like, oh, that's Amalie. Amalie would wear that. Like even today on my Instagram, my friend Deja sent over something from Fashion Week. I forget, like that happened a couple weeks ago. She goes, "This is you." I'm like, "That's me." Like, so that's like my little professional brand.
Social media and fitness. Well, since you're talking about brand, talk about social media. Are you a social media expert? How do you use it? How do you benefit from it? How can others?
Yeah, I believe that social media is so important, unfortunately so at the same time, but it is important. It's important for your business, your brand, whatever you're trying to do. It's important to feel connected. You could find a lot of like groups in social media. So like for fitness, for example, Grace Run Clubs, it's this huge like female runner club.
So not for me.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry about it. For Haley.
Not
like,
my community.
Not your community. No, they're very inclusive. You can come and hang out and run with us. But I have yet to run with them, but I know so much about them. I know the person that runs it. And it's so phenomenal what she does on there to bring people together and go run. This like running is so big right now. I'm so happy about it. I was like, I've been running for years and now it's really popular. But social media is just so important to get your brand and everything out there and find your people. I have switched my social media in a way for myself and my brand to be being a voice for any companies, like coffee shops, like local places to really showcase them, show them in my stories, show that there's so much to do here in Las Vegas, or there's so much to do like that I'm finding in Arizona, like wherever I'm going, I want to showcase that with obviously the sprinkle of like, why would I want to follow this girl on social media? And that's where I bring in my own personal self, like my family, my fitness, going to one morning I'm out running and doing the healthiest thing. And later in that night, I'm staying up till 1 a.m., 2 a.m. because I'm at a electric concert, EDM concert with a DJ set, right? Just showing like the ways of life and how you could be a professional and, doing all the things that you love. It's a very big tool. It's a very, very big tool to connect and to be knowing what's happening in the community. It's really important.
Are you over Arizona too for Kiln?
I'm over Arizona, California, Oregon, Montana,
you got the whole
Nevada, and soon to be Texas.
But not Salt Lake.
Not Salt
Utah.
Lake. No, not Utah.
Someone else's baby.
Yeah.
Have you always been into fitness and athletic?
Yes. Yeah. I got into it in my early 20s. Just like the little gym rat would go do a workout, but then I would go and drink and eat Taco Bell at the nighttime, as a 22-year-old. But then
What's your Taco Bell order?
What was my Taco Bell order? Oh my God. Crunchwrap Supreme or a gordita.
I was big beef Mexi melt and a Mexican pizza.
Oh.
If I ever got a taco Supreme because I love the sour cream in there.
I like the gordita. The gorditas one was like the soft with the crunch, right? Divine. I got into fitness.
We're talking about fitness, not Taco.
Oh, sorry. God, I think that was the last time I've had Taco Bell was in my early 20s. But I've always been fitness, like working out. But then when I moved to San Francisco, it's when I got the run bug. Like that's when I realized like, whoa, running outdoors is like this portal. Like put in your music and go.
Tell me about this.
And you could explore. Like you get to explore while moving your body, clearing your mind. And we lived in Nopa.
But outside?
Outside.
That's insane.
What do you mean? It's gorgeous. It's like the best way to do it. Vegas, insane, right?
No.
Like that's why I didn't care about running.
Here too.
I didn't care for it at that time.
Yeah.
But going into Golden Gate Park and like exploring the park and running around, and then I signed up for my first 10K out in Mount Tam, which is north of San Francisco. And I got middle of the pack. And I was like, whoa, like by running, like I got middle of the pack, like I'm like placing pretty well, middle of the pack throughout for all ages and sex. And then I was like 50 in my female age range. And I was like, cool, like this is great. And I was hooked. There was a moment where they called me YouTube Amalie. Yikes. Because I was doing like heavy lifting. I was doing that, like showcasing what I was eating and all of this stuff. And then I realized like, ew, performative, not me. I don't do this to be performative. I just do this for myself and wanting to be around people. So I stick to the running and the cycling. So I was huge cyclist, still am, but in San Francisco was like the easiest place to get like 50 miles in after work, and go to Mount Tam.
Cycling, not running.
Cycling, yeah. And then running, like I was doing all of it. And then ever since then, just kicked off, like been obsessed with cycling and running and Pilates and just moving my body. And like, it's funny because my husband is a huge cyclist. Like he is a mountain biker, does all the races, all the crazy races, cross cycling, road cycling. I'm like, I'll stick to road cycling and I will also just stick to running as well. But running is 100% like where I find all of my happiness is. I just need to go for a run. It's the best.
I started running at 40, sort of.
Okay.
My fitness journey, I've had a few phases. I didn't really play sports in high school, but I feel like if I did, I probably would have done pretty well. In college, I was working out. There was a phase where I was working out like with my cousin and his friends 5 days a week, eating right, creatine, protein, the whole deal.
Broing it up.
Yeah. When I was a young broker, one of the senior guys in our office was a runner. So we would start running with him, around the office here and there. That led me to like a couple 5Ks, and 10K was the most I did. It was actually the rock and roll on the strip. I don't remember what year this was, maybe it was in 2009, 10, 11 era. No, the strip was 2012 probably. Then nothing, because kids, they ruin everything.
They do.
So didn't have a routine here and there every now and again, but didn't have a routine until I turned 40. And then I had a talk with myself that if I didn't figure something out, I'd blink, turn 50, and I'd be sick. So my wife signed me up for Lifetime. It was my birthday, January of 2020.
What a nice gift.
Isn't that great? And I had two friends that were going. I'm the same. Like if someone's there and I have to go, I'm going.
Yeah.
If I just have to go by myself, it's very, very hard. So we were going for a couple months, like the atrophy. So I did a cycling class with them. Like one Thursday, like, oh, we're going to do the cycling class.
Fun.
So you go up to the third floor.
Yeah.
I've never done a cycling class in my life. First cycling class. I'm coming out of like parent workout atrophy.
Oh my God.
I'm doing my best in this class. I'm doing my damn best. The instructor comes up out, hey, good day, good workout. Hey, good to see you. Hey. Comes up to me and he's like, did you even get a workout today? I'm like, yeah. He was like concerned, like maybe he didn't push me hard enough. I'm like, no, I'm trying, man. He wasn't trying to be mean. He literally was like, because he could see my metrics on his dashboard or whatever. So we leave, and again, we're on the third floor, so we were taking the stairs. And thank God, the way I was arranged with my friends, it's like one of them, two of them. I'm on the right by the banister. I take the first step, and my knee does this, and then the next one, and the other leg does this, and I grab the thing, and I'm like, I'm so glad I'm standing right here. And then like I'm sliding down step by step.
Oh my God.
Starting to work out after not working out.
Yeah.
This is only like one or two and then you're fine.
Yeah.
Then we also then it was COVID, so Lifetime closed. Then we got a Peloton like everyone else in the world.
Which, by the way, I would love to just say on the record, I got a Peloton in 2019, early 2019. And when everyone was struggling to get their Peloton, I'm like,
it's like the toilet paper.
Truly.
My Zoom background was my wife has great instincts, and when things were getting crazy, she's like, we better stock up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And
she was right.
I ate my words.
Yeah.
Usually what happens. But I had my Zoom background was all the toilet paper we had. So then we did the Peloton for a bit. Then I got COVID that summer.
Yeah.
And then I was curious because I'm like quarantining in our casita,
Yep.
and I'm reading all the Facebook groups about COVID
Mm.
and people that are reporting their experiences. And this
Yeah.
thing, long COVID. I'm like, I wonder if I have long COVID.
Yeah.
So I think it was that summer I started running.
That's what got you into it.
And I got the bug.
Yeah, there's a bug. There's truly, there's this wonderful instructor that I love so much from Peloton, because I'm still a huge Peloton.
Who's the instructor?
Jess King.
Okay.
She's phenomenal. I met her in person, by the way, like at a concert.
Did you freak out?
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like in a Peloton setting?
No, but I had a feeling she was going to be there. Not to be a creep, but like she loves this DJ group called Gorgon City, and my friends and husband and all of us went to Amphitheater, the Red Rocks in Colorado. And I was like, she should be here. Like, she always loves this band. And then I literally look at VIP and I see her wife, I see her best friend, and I see her, and I was like, oh, my God. And I freaked out and went and ran, hugged her. And I told her, I like held her face. And I was like, I swear, there's photos of this too. I'll have to send it. I said, you saved me. Like, you saved my life through the pandemic. Like, thank you. Like, you helped me so much. You still saved my life even after that dark time. But her biggest thing that she likes to say is the shit shift. Shit shift. She's like, there's that moment where something just sucks so bad and is so shitty. It could be like multiple times, or it could be within that workout that it just shifts and you have this different click. And I remember when I first started running, I was like, ugh, why do people do this? It's so dumb. You hear people's hips hurting and their knees are bad. What are we doing to ourselves? And then I had that shift where I was like, this is one beautiful an experience. Like, you have your music, you're with yourself, you're with like, you're calming down your heart, you're calming down your brain. And like, it's the most clarity that I will ever have in my day is running. Like, and you get that bug and that the shift shifts. And you're just in, and it's so wonderful when I know of people that hated running, don't like running, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden they get this bug and they're like, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go for a run.
Yeah. So one of the things I post a lot about is running. So I get a lot of feedback back about running, and people, I hate running. I don't know how. And really, running sucks if you don't run right.
Oh, yeah, true.
Most of us, I read a stat. It's like, at some point, I forgot, maybe high school, you stop sprinting. Like the percentage of people that sprint after a certain age is frighteningly low. And why would you sprint? Why would everyone sprint? But even like after COVID, when I started running, my first few runs, I'm just trying to get around the block, maybe a mile, maybe two. I have a cramp or cramps. I've got blisters. And there's this feeling that if I keep running during the run, I will die. I will literally die because I'm running so hard. I'm breathing so hard. If I keep this up, I will literally die. And it occurs to me, like, we run. If you don't learn how to run, you run like you did in PE when they say, all right, we're doing you got to run a lap and come back. And the lap is usually a mile. Yeah. And you're racing everybody, but it's just a mile. And you finish and everyone's doubled over and
Forrest Gumping it, just going.
Yeah. So one of the things that got me into it, there's an app called Nike Run Club. It's a free app. They have this feature called Guided Run. The Nike global head coach, Chris Bennett, narrates the run.
Nice.
And there's like, I don't know how many. I don't know if there's 100 different types of narrated runs, guided runs in there, but probably close to 100. But the first one is called First Run. Brilliant. The second one is called Next Run. And then the other one is called Third Run. So first run, next run, third run. It's 20 minutes, 22 minutes, 25 minutes. So now there's a progression. Coach Chris Bennett comes on to your earbuds and talks you through the run. And mostly what he's doing is he's telling you how to run right, which is slowing down, which is he's basically getting you to an easy pace without saying an easy pace, which is you should be able to have a conversation the entire time you're running.
Yeah, that conversational pace.
The conversational pace.
Yeah.
You're not breathing so hard that you can't have a conversation. Your heart rate isn't elevated so high, you can't have a conversation. That for me, then they have all sorts of from there.
And that's what got you to be like, okay.
That taught me how to run right. Yeah. Then there's like your first long run, there's speed runs, fartlek, they have like world-class runners, championship runners that they bring on also to narrate. And like one of them is like Chris Bennett and I forgot the runner's name, but it's almost like a podcast. And he's like, the coach is talking to him about his running, not just journey, but also like a specific race where like it was his breakthrough race kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to all this stuff. Then it's like podcasts. Then it's music. It's also, I'm so in.
You're so
the
in.
Shit shift.
The shit shift happened to you. Yeah. My biggest thing is like, I'm very musically, into like I just love music. There's this like thing that there's like the scientific thing that came up where there are certain individuals that literally have like a reaction to music, and I'm that. And so pumped up music, sad music, anything, like I just love it. And when I'm running, I just get to tap into that moment, and that's like what made me keep running and like cycling or doing anything was I get to just have music for a whole solid like 45 to an hour to whatever long my thing is. Sign me up. I'm in. Like I just zone out.
Are you make a playlist in advance kind of person, or are you shuffling Spotify?
No, I am. You can go to my Spotify, and I have each run has its own theme. And I am the type of person that times where I'm going to be during my run. And so like, it's like this whole like build. I always say, if you're going to listen to it, you can't shuffle because it's like thought out of where I'm going to be when I'm like running. So I like the last run that we just did 2 weeks ago, right? That rock and roll. I ended it with Bad Bunny, Nueva York song. And I was so ecstatic because then I also had Ollie at my hip. And I was like, Nueva York, woo. And we're just like running through. But I am that person. Like, I cannot shuffle.
I'm a shuffle.
That gives me anxiety. Because then I feel like I have to keep hitting next.
So much work in planning. Where am I going to be?
I love
how long is this song?
It's so me, though. I was
talking to a friend of mine, and he has an app where it'll tell you which songs are at what pace. So,
tempo, yeah. He's
like, if you want to run at a 8-mile on average pace, these are the songs.
Oh my God, I want to try that.
Which is very fast.
Yeah. I'm a 8:30 9-minuter. Like
that's your easy pace?
Yeah. I'm like coasting. And if I want to amp it up, I'll go to the 8. But what I'm dealing with lately is a side stitch, and that's a whole thing.
A what?
Side stitch? Have you ever had one?
No.
Stitches? I'm so envious of you.
What is a side stitch?
Side stitch is literally this pain that you feel when you're running. And it's like right underneath, your rib. It's like a cramp, but they call it a side stitch.
Okay.
And it feels like you're like getting stitched. Like it just feels like this stitch, like this like stretch. And it's a phenomenon that nobody knows.
Like plantar fasciitis?
Basically.
I've had that.
I haven't had that. I just had this pain. And it happens like at mile 3 or mile 5 if I've gone too hard. So I have to stay within like a certain tempo. They say, you're not hydrated enough, or you ate too close, or you didn't eat.
You say that with your eyes rolling.
I just, because the reason why is because they don't know why. They have no reason. They don't.
I've never heard of a side stitch.
Google it. It's it's an issue.
Maybe I shouldn't. I don't want to.
Well, my other good friend, he got the runner bug because I told him, let's sign up for Red Rock. Like this was like in 2019. Let's sign up for the Red Rock Loop one, blah, 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 blah. I got really sick, so I ditched him. But he then went and did it, and he's been running ever since. So he's like, you got me into it, even though you didn't show up for it. But he got his first side stitch after I've been complaining. And he's like, oh yeah, that's painful. I'm like, yeah, you have to stop, breathe, like pinch, all this stuff. It's awful. But tempo, I gotta stay at that tempo.
Look that up. I learned a lot about my anatomy becoming a runner. Different things hurt, and I'm like, I'm trying to explain it to I have a running coach. It's like my leg, okay, but where?
Yeah.
It's like I have to now pull up Google and like which muscle inside of my the inside of my leg.
It's awful. Why do we do it? 'Cause we love it.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a very specific run on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Woke up earlier than everyone else in my family. I come home. I am total zen.
Yeah.
Right? The world is beautiful. Nothing can be wrong. I go inside the house, and it's a typical chaotic morning. And I'm like, guys.
It's
What's going on? Everything's great. Like, calm down.
Your wife is like,
my wife's yelling. My kids are all yelling. The dog's barking. I'm like, hey, everyone just be cool. It's great.
Be cool, y'all. We're okay.
I left it all, like whatever anxiety. I don't get like anxiety or debility. I never really had issues with that.
I'm an anxious person.
But I noticed that there's anxiety.
Yeah.
It all gets left on the road.
Yeah. That's where it helps me out a lot as an anxious individual. I'm like, this is where, like, if I don't get a workout in, but it's not a great day for me. Like, and I try everything in my life. I'm an adult. I could control this. Like, just because I didn't get a workout in doesn't mean I could, like, feel not put together. But it just helps you. Just helps you get through.
This wasn't planned. Let me ask your advice on something.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm 45 now.
Okay.
So this last season of my life, from an exercise standpoint, has been primarily running.
Yeah.
Things I'm reading and listening to suggest I need to start strength training to build muscle mass as I get older.
Yep.
I think about going to the gym and lifting weights, and I would rather just go run. But I know I need to stop running. Maybe not fully stop, but like stop like I have been. I've been training for a marathon or a half marathon for the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And if I keep doing that, which I could easily just do that, I know I won't ever do the strength training thing.
Gotta balance it.
What's your advice? How do I start?
Yeah. Well, as you said, currency of time and all of that, and what you have, like kids and all of that. I'm going to say something, you're going to roll your eyes. I'd sometimes do double days when possible, where I do my run and then I go do reformer Pilates. You should get into reformer Pilates. Truly. It is strength training.
I'm not laughing for the reason you think. I'm laughing because I've done Pilates once.
It's hard.
My wife scheduled us for a family Pilates session one Sunday.
Oh.
And it was while I'm training for a marathon. So that morning I ran 14 miles.
Okay.
And I'm showing up to Pilates. Now, our middle daughter's a dancer. She's done Pilates before. Yeah. She knows how all that stuff works.
Yeah.
Our young one, I don't know if she's ever done it before, but she was pretty good. Our son it was funny while he was trying and wanting to be cool and macho, which is weird when your leg is doing this and it's awkward, right? But he was trying to do it and he's not flexible at all. My wife does Pilates, so she was good. And my wife made a point to tell the instructor, like, he just ran 14 miles, so like, be gentle with him. It was good. I mean,
it's great.
The very little I did that she was gentle with me about. The next morning, I felt it in the core and what.
Absolutely, it helps out. I mean, like
Pilates could be a thing.
Reformer Pilates is really big. Reformer, I would do reformer. So reformer's on that machine.
That's the machine.
Yeah, and
is there Pilates? It's not on a machine.
Yeah, there's mat Pilates. That's not a machine.
Pilates.
But you're using a lot of like lighter weight and your own body weight, and you're stretching and doing repetitive movements. But reformer, you're able to add some weight, more weight to it, and more like resistance when you're doing it. But like as a runner, you have to do like strength training.
This is the joke. You're supposed to stretch and do strength
training. You're supposed
training.
to do all the things.
I didn't sign up for that stuff.
Listen.
I signed up to run.
I understand, but to be a even better runner.
I did start doing a dynamic stretch routine before the run. That helped out a lot.
I got really mad when I started realizing I have to stretch. I'm turning 37 this year, and I've been running since I was 24, 25. And
you have a good base.
Really good base. Good base. But let me tell you, my ego of my base, I got checked 2 weeks ago because I barely trained for that half. And I was like, what did I just do? What did I just do? I was like, okay, I obviously still need to train. But
don't sleep on the training.
Don't sleep on the training. But the weight training is really key. Reformer Pilates is where it's at, honestly. And as a runner, like I don't want to go lift weights. I really don't. Like I don't find enjoyment in lifting heavy weights. I find enjoyment in Reformer Pilates. I really do. And it lengthens and strengthens my legs and my arms and my abs, and great runner.
That I can try.
You need to. There's one in our comments, by the way. The Good Place Pilates. Okay. Check it out. Really good spot.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. Christine Akers. You should write that one down. She's a wonderful instructor. It's my best friend. She's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
You want to do some rapid fire takeaways?
Let's do it.
Top 2 restaurants in Vegas you wish everybody would experience.
Good Mama.
Good Mama?
Good Mama.
Where's that?
Oh, no, sorry. Other Mama. Wow.
Other Mama I know.
Cut it out.
It's like
Other Mama. Sorry.
Other Mama.
Other Mama and Amari.
Hey, I'm proud of myself. I've been to both.
Look at that. Love those two.
What is Other Mama?
Other Mama is like this, like, it's like Southern fusion Japanese food, where you could get like a good sushi roll, and they have wonderful oysters and all the sushi things, and then you could get like some fried chicken. It's phenomenal. It's like very unassuming when you go in there.
Like it's Durango and Twain.
Yeah, and it's like in this shopping mall, and you're like, I'm not going to go into that shopping mall. The moment you walk in, you're like, this is a cool little like hole in the wall.
Have you been to Zaytoon? That's also in that same mall.
I have not.
Go there.
No. Okay. Great.
It's very good. Middle Eastern Zaytoon.
Yeah, I'll check that out. Other Mama
is
phenomenal.
I don't know when we first heard about it, but the way it was described is this is where industry people go when they have a night out.
Exactly. And that's when you know it's good. The drinks are phenomenal. Mocktails are also phenomenal. That's our like favorite spot to go on a date night when Andy and I like don't got the kid. Let's roll. Or we have someone that's like visiting. We're like, we're gonna take you here. We don't even take him to anything on the strip. We're like, you're going here. And then Amari's been
Amari? Oh God, just an Italian place. What are you talking about?
It's delicious. Fresh focaccia every day. They make it every day. The dips are phenomenal. But the biggest thing, like the food is great. Food is great. You go have a great meal, but the hospitality beyond. Like even folks that I've taken with me and then they go on their own.
Because now they're not with the Uncommons.
They're not with the Uncommons girl. They're like, same. Is
that what you get called, Uncommons girl?
I don't know. Yeah, they're not with the Uncommons chick. Yeah.
All right. Other Mama and Amari. Mm-hmm. How about something to do in Vegas that's awesome and not obvious?
Oh my God. Awesome to do. Not obvious. I mean, it seems obvious though. Red Rock Canyon. You gotta go. Like, it's a good spot to go to and explore. And I always say Red Rock Canyon to my friends because everyone always thinks that Vegas is the Strip. Mm. So I'm always like, no, we have a lot more. Like, go to Red Rock Canyon and like immerse yourself. Or like, what is it? Valley of Fire is also another place. Like, I always tell people to go to like the mountains, like escape, figure out like why people love it so much. And then if it's one of my cyclist friends, I like to take them on the Red Rock Loop. I unfortunately did that to one of my best friends. I have a lot of best friends, guys. But another friend of mine that came visited me on my birthday. I'm an August birthday. And we did the Red Rock Loop very early when we were still very much dying. But that's where I always want to take people to is that spot.
I think after I ran my first half marathon, I ran up and over there because I was now training for a full marathon and I needed much more miles. Mm-hmm. I think I did 10 that day.
Nice.
So it was like 5 out and back. Mm-hmm. Nice, except for I wasn't prepared for it. Like when you don't prepare.
It's very...
Like I sucked up all the gels I had before I got out. Mm-hmm. It was a hot day. I didn't bring water. Mm-hmm. Was it 10 miles? I think it was 10 miles. You know, as a runner, you learn things like... I imagine you know every route around your house.
Yes.
You mentioned like at mile 3 this starts. Like I know at mile 2.2 to 2.5, that's when things start opening up for me.
Yeah.
There's things like any run over 5 miles, take water. This one I had no clue.
Oh no.
I was struggling to get back to the grocery stores. I went to the Terrible's at Charleston.
Yeah.
I bought a Gatorade. I killed it. It was hard to get home.
That's tough. Like,
that was my first experience. I've done it since, but more prepared. I have not done the whole loop though.
The new place that I actually did, another place I would tell people to go to, is like this. There's this really cool trail by Lake Mead that you could ride your bike on. When I was training and did the sprint triathlon last October, I learned that because that's the path that they took. It's a really cool spot to run. And
there was a run I did there once, I think. Are there tunnels that you run through over there?
Yeah, there's a bunch of tunnels, and like you go from like literally Lake Mead and then you go up, and it's all I love climbing when cycling. That's like my favorite thing to do. And so it was just all up. And it was like the coolest like experience because then you're seeing the lake get smaller and then you go through these tunnels. That's another cool spot.
What's a podcast you never miss?
My favorite murder. Listen, always have to, you always have to be prepared of what might happen. So
Is it about, like, do they take like real life murders and
talk about it?
talk about it?
Yeah, they talk about all the things, even like most biggest like disasters to serial killers to missing people stories and all the things. And it's these two women, Karen and Georgia. Been listening to them for like
Have you seen them at a concert, Rain?
10 years. No, they were very opposite people. Very opposite people. But definitely love listen. That's my podcast. I never and then The Daily. I listen to The Daily every day.
Is there a book that changed you?
Book that changed me. There's a book that made me start reading. Like that was a big thing.
Actually.
And actually Savannah Stewart was like, you should read this. And it's the ACOTAR series. So it's basically fantasy. A thorn of court. What was it? A Court of Thorn and Roses. It's fantasy. It's fun. It's silly, but it got me like to be like, oh, I want to read again. So that year, I think I read 25 books where I went from 0 to 25, which it's big for me. But
Yeah.
I'm not learning anything from it. I'm just like in a whole new world, and I'm okay with that. That's fine by me.
What's one song that gets you pumped up the most?
Dom Dalla, Girls.
I have no idea what that is.
He's a DJ. I flew to Denver to see him with my friend Este and Steph. My little
song
besties.
Is called Girls?
Girls. Mm-hmm. And then saw him the following weekend at Coachella. And I could see him every weekend. I'm actually going to be going to a festival in LA to see him again. It's Ollie loves that song too. It's her favorite.
If you could instantly master any skill, what would it be?
Singing. I wish I was a singer.
Not a singer.
Not a singer.
Not even in the car by yourself.
I try. Ollie tells me to. We do karaoke a lot.
It's so hurtful when the kids tell you.
Oh yeah, I'm like, excuse me, I am doing the most wonderful rendition of Wicked. How dare you stop me before my war cry? But I wish I was a singer. I wish I could get that skill and really pump it up.
What's something Vegas doesn't have that you wish we did have?
More Kiln's coming. So I was about to say more community gathering areas, and Kiln will be an addition to Vegas. I went to Dallas a while back, and there's this really cool place called Soul House, SOL House, and it was a house where it was a lot of like meetings and coffee shop, but they did a lot of like panels and discussions. And I sat there, and this is before I even knew about Kiln, or I knew of Kiln. I just didn't know the capacity of the programming and the gatherings that Kiln was producing. I was like, man, we need this in Vegas. And then now knowing that Kiln's coming to Vegas, we're getting it. And that's something that's really, really going to be such a win for Las Vegas. This Kiln.
So, I mean, outside of the office co-working facility, it's really like
the programming, the events,
the gathering place for programming.
Yeah, I'm helping a lot with the programming for Kiln as a whole, not just my region, right? And I'm so lucky to see everything that's happening at all these sites and the impact that they're providing for the members. It's that gathering and that networking and that information sharing, that it's not like that, another lunch and learn, boring. It's like really thought out. So Kiln's coming.
When is the first one?
What do you mean
one of these first Kiln gatherings?
Oh, well.
That's not a boring lunch and learn.
Yeah. The first week that we're opening, we're making sure that we have events. So we're opening April 22nd. And Maya, my member experience manager, is making sure we are locked and loaded with all of the events for our space right out the gate so that we could just start hanging out with the community.
I have a final question. Before I ask, is there anything else you want to talk about or share or say?
Just come support us. come. If there's new coffee shops, hit me up. DM me. I need to
Any new
know.
coffee shops you need to know about.
Please. Immediately.
Well, this has been fun.
No, it's been really fun.
All right. When you think about Vegas over the next 20 years, what are you most hopeful about?
We keep it going. We're in such a good role. We keep the gatherings, the sports, the excitement of getting people to our city. And for all of the outside of just the Strip, Sphere, Allegiant, that we're building more of that even on the outskirts of the city and making it, making a name for ourselves, that we're not just this, Vegas, gambling, whatever. We're a true community and want to bring people to our city. And I also want to see more of the downtown Summerlin, Uncommons district, downtown Las Vegas all come together and really band arms and keep doing the amazing stuff that everyone's doing together and support each other.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming here and having our first one-on-one discussion.
I know, we haven't hung out. It's like a little good catch up. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for listening. I would love to hear from you about your takeaways from this episode. Make sure to leave us a comment or leave us a review. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear future episodes as they come out. My name is Hayim Mizrahi. Tune in next time.